Live from the grow room. Got a little transplanting to do today. As you can see, I've got a forest of quinoa and it's entirely too close together. I hope I have video quality at this level in the grow room. In the past, I've had problems with that. But let's see if we can get this tripod set up. Find a spot to put it here. So I can just talk with you while I'm transplanting. That's not bad. That ought to work. Yep, I've been waiting for this quinoa to get a second leaf, and it's really a lot of it, so definitely need to get on transplanting this. So let's work on this. I'm just using the copper rod. Last year I bought copper rods because somebody was telling me that was really good for your plants, and I don't know, I can't really tell whether or not it is or isn't, but they are useful. When transplanting, I've been using them to dig up seedlings. But I managed to start way more quinoa than I wanted to start. But the cool thing about quinoa is it grows straight up, so it doesn't really take up that much room in the garden. I'm going to try to grow this on the cooler side of the garden. Only time will tell if it's going to work. Well, I mean, I did manage to get one plant to grow last year. I was doing combat with the critters, so the other component of this is I'm going to have to sew these little sleeves that are about a foot high, and I'll have like little bamboo sticks on 3 sides of the sleeves holding it in the ground like a tent. And I managed to keep one of my plants alive that way, and one plant got me 2/3 cup of quinoa. So if I could actually get some of this to grow, that would actually give us quite a bit of quinoa, right? I mean, it's kind of a tedious plant to grow for the home grower, but I can't really grow potatoes here. I'm trying to grow sweet potatoes, only time will tell on that project. We tried sweet potatoes outside a couple years ago, and it looked like the plants were happy and they were going to do really good. They were biting all over the place, but they really didn't grow a potato. Sweet potatoes like humidity. They don't really like the dry heat. So right now I have sweet potato going in this pot up here, and it's biting all the way up to the ceiling. So that's pretty cool. It seems to actually really like this condition. Oh, look, there's a little cherry tomato back there. So that would be pretty cool. If we could grow sweet potatoes, that would be really awesome, because I like sweet potatoes. I know they're really good for you too. And they're filling, right? And I love lettuce and tomatoes and all that other stuff, but if you're looking for something that's going to fill your tummy up that you can grow, it's not going to be lettuce, right? We strive to try to grow stuff here that we can use as food. This quinoa seems pretty happy. I think it needs to be about 70 degrees outside overnight before we transplant this into the garden. So that'll give me some time to get all those sleeves sewn. I'm going to need quite a few of them. But I'm thinking I can probably put about 4 of these into a sleeve because they do grow straight up. And the purpose of the grow fabric sleeve is just to protect it from everything trying to eat it. Because most of my plants that I planted last year got eaten. I don't know if it was a rabbit, a rat, a bird. Doesn't really matter, right? It got eaten. So we didn't get to eat it. I'm just gently using this to kind of lift up underneath the plants so that I don't break the root system. And then just transplanting it into the dirt, giving them a little more space because we don't want things root bound. And if you have plants too close together, what happens is they don't really mature into healthy plants. I mean, there's a such thing as compact gardening, but you can get a little carried away with that too. Sorry about that. It's probably Scam Likely. Scam Likely wants to talk to you. You know, I didn't really even get Scam Likely calls when we lived in Alaska, but it seems like once a month I start getting a whole bunch of Scam Likely calls, and I have to block, delete, and then I'm good for about 3 weeks, and then it starts up again. How about the rest of y'all? How do you deal with Scam Likely? Do you get them where you're at? They're pretty prevalent here in the desert of southern Nevada. You know, I actually grew quinoa in Alaska too. I did it one time. It was kind of an experiment. It's pretty versatile. Seems like this stuff will grow in a lot of places. So what does Alaska have in common with the desert of southern Nevada? Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska, is a northern desert environment. It's super dry, right? You don't get as much humidity. Now, coastal Alaska is considered a rainforest, believe it or not, because it pretty much rains all the time there, but northern is quite dry. So it's really dry here. It's actually not as dry in Alaska. This is definitely the least humidity I've ever experienced in my life, but interior Alaska is actually quite dry. This is a little tedious, right? So I carved out an hour to work on this because I fully expect it's going to take me at least an hour to transplant all these, but I couldn't let them go much longer. And the time to transplant them is when they still look healthy. Well, it looks like we might have a few comments here at the bottom. It's kind of hard to see because of my tripod. Life of Maddox. Hi, how's it going today? Thanks for joining in. Hope you like gardening. It's like my favorite thing to do. Love gardening. So tell me about Life of Maddox. Is Maddox your name, or does that stand for something? Just curious to know. Look at all these quinoa. Wow, got a lot of it. Persistence pays off. We will tackle this. I'm probably going to need another flat, right? There's probably nowhere near enough room in this tray for all of these, but we'll see what we can accomplish today. Have to be patient when you're gardening. I had a friend in Alaska that had a plant nursery. And I don't think they actually started everything from seed, but they did a lot of transplanting. I'm sure they got little seedlings, right? Got a head start on it. Let's see here. Well, it's a good thing we didn't wait any longer on this. These are really tangled up together, but thankfully the soil is loose and the dirts are not compact, or the roots are not compact. That's important. So I waited until it was time to water to do this. It's easier to get the plants out when the soil is dry, especially in this situation. Let's pull them up one at a time. Put them in our new container. Real simple like that, right? This grow room has been doing really well. The only thing that I'm having any real problem with is it looks like I'm periodically going to have to be cleaning off the surfaces that are glass, the windows and the doors, because it looks like we've got a little mold growing, and I know that could potentially be hazardous, right? So if anybody has any ideas on what to do about that, besides getting out a bucket with a little bleach and water and a rag, I'm all ears. Let me know. But this humidity is what's going to allow us to grow a lot of the cool things we have going in here. We have sweet potatoes. We have green tea plants in the back. We have a black pepper plant. That is my new experiment for the year. All those things like humidity, they're really kind of tropical. And this is going to be tedious again when we're ready to transplant this into the ground, right? But it's easier when the plants are bigger. It's a little harder when they're small like this. Such a pretty color too. This is red quinoa, in case you're wondering. Just kind of working my way in from the outside edge. Quinoa is actually the perfect vegan protein for anybody that's interested in non-meat protein. And I don't have anything against meat. I just like knowing that I can grow complete food for myself. Pretty cool idea, right? I kind of worry sometimes with all the talk about bird flu, cows catching bird flu. Apparently the reason eggs got so expensive as 40 million birds have been culled. 40 million chickens. So that is why your eggs are so expensive right now. I'm hoping that they don't go so crazy with culling birds that we end up with losing a species of animal, right? Chickens are pretty cool. I love chickens. I actually had chickens when we lived in Alaska. We had 3 of them. We had a red chanticleer and we had 2 silver wyandottes. We started with 2 red chanticleers, and those were actually my favorite. They're very tame. And one of them died, and I couldn't just have one chicken. They need a buddy. So when I went to try to get another chicken from the feed store, initially all they had was those little guinea chickens. And they said, oh, you don't want to buy these because they're meant to just get fat and die. If you just try to keep one living, they're going to die. And actually, our daughter was pretty young then, so they were kind of pets to her too. We were growing them for eggs. And so we ended up getting 2 silver wyandottes to go with our red chanticleer. And I got 2 just because it seems like it's pretty hard to start chicks as chicks, right? What happens is chicks rely on the bacteria from their mother's droppings. So they scratch the ground, they eat the seed, and they pick up the bacteria from the mother for adult birds, and that's how they establish a healthy colony of bacteria in their stomachs. So with chickens, if they don't get that bacteria, they actually have problems with their bowel movements. They end up with like sticky poop basically. And if that happens, they actually can get a blockage, and that'll kill them pretty quick. So we dealt with that with one of our chickens as chicks. One of them died and one of them we saved because we had to do some research and we figured it out. But yeah, chickens are pretty awesome birds, and they're really pretty low maintenance for the most part once you get them past that vulnerable stage. And I really planted a lot of quinoa here. I guess I was in the mood to start a garden, right? Can you tell? So be careful when you're dumping those seeds out that you don't just dump a million of them, because then you end up with this huge transplant job like I have going right now. And unfortunately, I only have a handful of people that are interested in gardening. And I'm guessing that probably none of them want to grow quinoa. So I'll be sharing some eggplants. Probably won't be sharing any quinoa with anybody. It's okay. Well, it's pretty much our update in the grow room today. I'd be sitting here for a while doing this. But we've got some green beans going right over here, some more radishes. Down over here we have 2 types of eggplant and some onions. Up here we have radishes, Swiss chard, beets. A lot more radishes. Can you tell I like radishes? A lot of salad greens right in here. Some New Zealand spinach right there. Down here we have some dill, some kohlrabi, beets, calendula, and let's take a look at a few other things here. All right. Oh, stand up. More salad. Yay. These are broccoli sprouts. In the back in that window, we have onion seedlings, carrots, purple sweet potato. Gonna try another sweet potato. Actually got that to start growing. I kind of thought it was irradiated, but apparently it overcame that. The eggplant is flowering profusely, but again, I don't think it's gonna set on in here. I've been using a paintbrush to pollinate, but the humidity makes the pollen sticky, so it doesn't get where it needs to go. We have zucchini. Zucchini really likes it in here, which is awesome because zucchini does not like growing outside in the desert, let me tell you. I think I got like 2 zucchinis the whole time we've lived here. This is my newest experiment. It's a green pepper or black pepper cutting plant. It's like, you know, pepper like you have on your table, salt and pepper. And up here we have our tomato hanger. We've got some cherry tomatoes and in the back and the front on the window. And then we also have Acamora, San Marzano, a Thornton, and Roma tomatoes. Our cucumbers are looking like something ate on them a little bit, so I'm gonna have to put some of my garlic onion spray on those and hopefully that works. I'm guessing the spider mites are at work in here. Those things pretty much just live in the desert. They're not touching the thyme. Apparently they don't like to eat thyme. We have a tomatillo, some cilantro, some more onions, some honey nut squash, and some nasturtiums. And over here we have mostly chili peppers. And there's 3 pineapple plants that we've added to this, right? We're trying to grow pineapple in here because pineapple likes humidity. And it takes about 6 months. If you're taking the top and you're growing it, like you stick it in the dirt, it takes about 6 months to get that to actually turn into a pineapple. So we need a longer season than we have if we just stick this outside. Plus we're not going to have any humidity outside. But that's our update from our garden today, growing inside. Thanks for joining us today. Have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.